Wally, John Wallace, Alan Hahn. I am by far, I laugh about it because it's not even close. I'm the shortest one here. No, don't do that. I mean, do it. Me going down is not going to help. I need to be raised up.
You're good.
You need a booster chair.
I do.
Raise you up, Bill. We raise you up.
Let's. The big story, Eli Manning makes it official today. Let's listen in to some of what he had to say, making it official today, calling it a career after 16 years in the NFL.
I'll miss hearing the first roar of the crowd, triggering the knowledge that we had been given one more opportunity to go win a football game. It's impossible to explain the satisfaction, actually the joy I've experienced being a Giant. From the very first moment, I did it my way. I couldn't be someone other than who I am. Undoubtedly, I would have made the fans, the media, even the front office more comfortable if I was a more rah-rah guy. But that's not me. Ultimately, I choose to believe that my teammates and the fans learned to appreciate that. They knew what they got was pure, unadulterated Eli. Wellington Mara always said, once a Giant, always a Giant. For me, it's only a Giant. Thank you so much.
Got to give him props. A career full of class, incredibly durable. 2 Super Bowl titles, each against the Patriots. You see the career numbers, 14 seasons as a starter. Forget the first year with Kurt Warner. Forget this last year with Daniel Jones getting most of the time. In his 14 years as a starter, he started every game but the one in which Ben McAdoo benched him, okay? But in those 14 years, he only made the playoffs 6 times. Yes, he had 2 Super Bowl runs, but in the other 4 times that he made the playoffs, he never won a playoff game. So the question is it because he had a magical 2 Super Bowl run type set of scenarios, or the other seasons take away from his Hall of Fame candidacy? Because the rest of the run there, aside from the years in which he won the Super Bowl, were not great.
Let me start this off, all right? What you never can do is say, take away the Super Bowl runs. And then, wait, you don't let me start this off.
All right.
And then you said,
Get him out.
Magical runs. If it was 1 year and it was a magical run, you can maybe say, look, that was just 1 year.
Like
they got
Trent
hot.
Dilfer,
Trent Dilfer, whatever it is. He did it twice against the all-time greatest dynasty in the history of the sport, against one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of the sport, and against the greatest quarterback in the history of the sport. You don't do that twice by accident. First time, maybe.
Preach, Al.
Not twice. So I always feel like John Wooden always says, all right, success is when you're at your best, when your best is needed. Eli Manning was always at his best when his best was needed.
What about the other years?
The last playoff the Giants were in against Green Bay. The banana boat guys, remember when Odell took all the guys down? They decided to go on a boat 3-4 days before the game. Eli was their best offensive player in that game, too.
Okay, but what about the other 12 years as a starter? You give him 14 years as a starter. He wins the Super Bowl.
There's 53 guys on the roster. So
Let me interject here.
All right, let's go over here.
Stay right here, because all of us have something to say
handing
about
out Hall of Fame inductions like candy on Halloween. He is 45th all-time, tied with Joe Flacco in passer rating. Okay, that is the ultimate statistic to rate you against others. All right, Joe Flacco's career record is 98-73. Eli's is 117-117. I'm all for Eli being the greatest New York quarterback and winning 2 Super Bowls, but he works in he quarterbacked the Giants in the biggest market in probably professional sports. So his 2 Super Bowl runs were blown way out of proportion in comparative to other markets.
The one Patriots, hold on, Wally.
I'm a New Yorker at heart, so it was a great run. It was a magical run. It was twice. I agree. It was against,
greatness.
Greatness. Yes, it was. But
the
still,
unbeaten Pats the first time.
You can't forget about the other seasons. He was a mediocre quarterback throughout his whole entire career. It wasn't just Eli that won those 2 Super Bowl rings. It was an legendary defense with Hall of Famers on it and a Hall of Fame coach.
The second year.
He was one of 54
Wally, you need to have some facts
team.
added to what you're saying. The 2011 season, that defense was great in the postseason. They were not great during the regular season. Eli was. His numbers were incredible that season, almost 5,000 yards passing that season. So he also helped them get there because they barely got in the playoffs that year. They had to beat the Jets on that game with Victor Cruz, went 100 yards for a touchdown. It took that. And oh, by the way, who threw that pass to Victor Cruz?
There are 45 guys.
You have to add context to it. I'll also add that it wasn't just a Super Bowl victory. It was NFC Championship games, won in the Ice Bowl in Green Bay.
Get up.
You have that, and also him getting beat up in San Francisco.
All right, get up.
I wanted John to get involved in this, man.
No, it's on.
Come on.
I don't have any
more. It's going to be 2-on-2.
I have nothing more to add to that. I think I've given all the facts.
I know, but here's the point. It's an entire career. It's just not 2 years.
One last thing, and then I'll let you go ahead. One last thing.
I'm really short, by the way. This is not working out.
Come right in the middle here.
All right.
One last thing to add to this is quite simply, this is not about greatest of all time. This is about one of the greats. Hall of Fame is one of the greats.
Right.
You can't argue that he's not one of the greats.
Yeah, but there are so many. In order to be in the Hall of Fame, you can't be the 45th best quarterback as far as passer rating and have a mediocre record, 500 for your career, and be a turnover interception machine.
But he's top 10 in a bunch of other categories.
It's you're picking out Robert Horry. Robert Horry won 6-7 titles. Ron Harper won 6-7 titles with the Bulls.
Another bad example.
Kerr,
those guys weren't the focal points of their team.
It doesn't matter. On a football team, there are so many different focal points.
Those guys.
Quarterback is the most important position on the offense.
But the defense was just as important in those runs.
All right, you always talk about
in the Super Bowl. The defense was huge.
How about the era?
Yeah, but the defense also gave up late touchdowns to have to force Eli to have to make 2 game.
Eli made those throws.
Okay.
Manning handed to David Tyree. Those throws are incredible.
The Hall of Famer is the best of the era.
Yeah.
Whereas
No,
Eli,
it's not. No, it's not the best of the era.
Among the best of the era.
You wouldn't have enough players in the Hall of Fame if it was best of the era.
Okay, but let's look at who is part of this period of time. Is he better than Drew Brees?
Great.
No.
Why are we?
He's not better than
we're
Drew
not
Brees.
arguing.
He's not better than his
We're not
brother.
power ranking.
He's better than
Brady. He's not better than Roethlisberger. He's not better
Yeah,
than
but all those guys are Hall of Famers also.
Exactly.
They're Hall of Famers also.
No, I know.
So he'll be joining them.
Tony Romo.
He's not trying to usurp them.
Tony Romo is 5th passer rating.
See, to me,
Tony Romo's
not a Hall of Famer. And Tony Romo's a Hall of Famer?
Catch lightning in a bottle.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
3 games in a row. No. Tony Romo's not a Hall of Famer. Neither is Eli Manning.
Nah, but he is.
No, he's not. Just because he caught lightning in a bottle.
What is your defense for the 12 years?
In a bottle. It was 2 separate years. 4 years
The one thing where you're, Alan,
that's a big bolt of lightning, John.
The one thing that you're not doing is talking about the 12 years in which.
Why? Why do I have
happened.
to? It's your entire. It's a career. And in that career,
Joe Flacco isn't even in a Hall of Fame conversation with anyone. He has a better record. He has a better passer rate, the same passer rating, less interceptions to touchdown ratio, and he has 1 ring. And he's not even in the conversation.
So your argument,
and you're
your
making
argument
Manning
is Joe
a lock
Flacco.
just because
Joe
his name
Flacco's
is Manning.
That's your best argument. That's your Exhibit A. Your Exhibit
the same
A
to me.
in front of the jury.
Joe Flacco
and Eli are the same quarterback.
Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Did he win another one?
1 year.
Did he lead his team to another Super Bowl?
No, he didn't.
Because that's how hard it is.
Plug pulled on him because Eli made
he's not in that special group that won 2 Super Bowls. That's a special select group.
Because the franchise believed
Wally?
It is.
That's a special, and Eli's in that special select group.
It doesn't matter. I'm not handing out Hall of Famers to the defense that won 2 Super Bowls.
Career record-wise,
throws too.
Eli's first 8 seasons in the league, he was 89 and 70. Okay. And then after that,
He never missed a game.
they got
Guy was
the front
durable.
office. There was no more Ernie Corsi. There was Jerry Reese.
Now you're
and they made a
blaming
lot
everyone
of
else but
mistakes.
Eli. I'm sorry. That's not how it
you
works
did see
in
the
sports.
offensive line. You
Eli's
did see
tough
how
as nails,
poor it was.
man.
Eli doesn't move. He
Right, so that's
stands
why you
there
need an
like a
offensive
statue.
line.
He can't help his offensive line.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall
All
of
right,
Famer.
we'll see. That's a
He'll
good
be in
debate.
camp
I
in
love
5
him.
years.
I mean, I'm a Giants fan, but you got to judge it for his body of work.
Very well argued and very poised.
We'll come back to this in a couple years when
Yeah,
he's
I'm sure we
entered.